My special guest this week is a musician, a stand-up comic, and an established author. Also, like myself, comes from Scouseville. It's my pleasure to welcome to the show Mr. Dave McCluskey. How you doing, Dave?
I'm all right, mate. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Good afternoon from Texas. Good evening over there.
Good evening from over here, yeah.
Dave, you started out in the business as a musician, mainly playing heavy rock back in the day, as I recall. Talk us through your band days.
Oh, right. Well, picked up the acoustic guitar when I was about 14 and realised I was absolutely rubbish on it. So I thought, you know what? It's no them two extra strings. Let's just knock them on the head. And found me love for the bass guitar because I thought I was going to be another Gene Simmons. I left school and became a welder, and I absolutely and utterly hated every minute of it. But then I was just like, I was in Rushworth one day, and there was there was a sign saying that they were looking for people to on the guitars and drums, and I was like, that is for me. So we jumped on there, got that job. God knows how I got that job, because I think they asked me to play something, and I was like, a little bit of 12-bar blues on the bass. They must have been like, who's this joker? You know.
Well, you worked in Rushworth for a while, right?
Yeah, I was there for 4 years. They must have been desperate to get someone else in. Do you know what I mean? I started off through contacts from Rushworth, and played in a couple of covers bands. First one was a band called Below Zero, and we were doing all like Thin Lizzy and early Aerosmith stuff. And then there was a few other acoustic rock bands that were in. And then I started with a band called Fugitive, who were at a hard rock / heavy metal band. They're still going to this day.
Really?
Two of the guys are still in it, and they're doing really well. They play like all the Hells Angels festivals and all the bikers festivals all around the UK and stuff like that, and they're doing really, really well. And sometimes I look at them and I think to myself, why did they leave?
But you know, talking to Rushworth, I mean, for the listeners, because we've got American listeners over here as well as the expats and the people across the pond. Rushworth's Music House was a famous music store in Liverpool, as was Hessie's, Curly Music, River City Sounds. Mr. Rushworth gave John Lennon and George Harrison the first acoustic guitars, the presentation. There's a famous photograph of that presentation. But you know what? I've just done a music video. It's a song called The Motherland Is Calling, and I wrote it on my trip home. I wanted to do a music video at Liverpool in the background, so I came back to America. And I got a friend of mine to take some stills and some footage across the Mersey on the ferry and stuff. And I did a green screen, and we start off at 1959 Liverpool. And I'm just playing the song right up. But Rushworth is in it.
Well, it was there for 150 years it was there for. And then I joined, and it went bankrupt.
But I put that in, I put it behind me as part of the video, Rushworth, yeah?
Yeah, well, it was iconic. Because everybody you know who's either played in Liverpool or played around Liverpool, they all know Rushworth. Everybody knows Rushworth because it was like the musical version of the Grace Brothers. like it was like the musical Are You Being Served? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I couldn't have put that better myself. Well put there, Dave. That was fantastic. It was, wasn't it?
It was. We had white shirts and green ties, but we're all playing heavy metal and rock and stuff like that behind the counter.
I know, because the lads like Tony Boland and the boys in Hessie's and Curly Music, they were all just dressed in t-shirts and jeans.
They were like Kiss t-shirts, ripped jeans and stuff like that, and we were like green ties and starch white shirts.
Well, I'm sure Gary Murphy used to work in Rushworth's.
Gary Murphy did, yeah.
Fantastic guitar player. Was you there when Gary MacDonald was working there too? You know Gary Mac?
Yeah. Well, actually, Gary MacDonald left about 2 weeks before I started. I knew him. I think I got his job, but I knew him before that. You know what I mean? From going in the shop and frequenting it and stalking basically more than anything else. So.
Well, me and Gary were in a duo called the Culprits.
Oh right, yeah.
And I'll tell you when this was. I'm going 1989. This agent called me and said, "Do you want to go to Germany tonight?" And I thought he was joking. John Mitchell from Bootle, you probably know John. Eagle Entertainments.
Oh, right, yeah.
Chris Caulfield, John Mitchell, Anyway, John phones me. He said, "No, I'm serious. You and Gary go to Germany tonight. Cancel all your weekend's work. There's a soldiers' do, a Valentine's do in Germany. You get the ferry tonight." I'm like, "You're joking." No, get your stuff ready. And back then, passports, you could get a year passport. I goes down to Rushworth, says to Gary, "We're going to Germany tonight." "I can't go to Germany." I said, "It's for like 4 days." And he's like, "Well, I'm going to go. I'm stuck here till 5. So my mate Paul Parker pretended he was Gary and went and got a passport, come down. And I said to Paul, do you want to come with us? Paul was only 16. He was sagging. He used to sag in college and come to my mum and dad's house. They'd be out at work and stay with me. Yeah. One day a week he'd go to college. I phoned the agent back. I said, well, I forgot to tell you, we've got a roadie who sets all the stuff up as well. Okay, extra ticket. 3 of us went to Germany that night.
Bargain. I can imagine what happened in Germany. Stayed in Germany there as well.
Oh, so. It was nuts. It was crazy. I was 19, 20, and Gary's about 3 years older than me. Paul was 16. And he said, I'll tell me dad, but I can't tell me mum I'm going. And I phoned home 2 days later. My mother said, have you seen anything of Paul Parker? I said, yeah, he's in the pub with me here. Yeah. She said, well, the police are out looking for him because he didn't tell his mum or his dad.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. But that's what you did. Young and fancy free. Imagine being like that now.
Yeah.
It's just like,
there we were on the ferry to Zeebrugge.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We used to have a band, and do you know what? We got quite big down the early 90s in Liverpool, and we were called Doris Stokes and the Horoscopes. Horror spelled HORR-Scopes. And the only way I can actually imagine it is, do you ever remember Tiz Was?
Yeah.
We could have been on Tiz Was.
Today is Saturday, wake up and smile.
Exactly, yeah. But we could have, it was like that type of band. It was for all the American guys over there, Tiz Was like an outrageous kids program on a Saturday morning. And it was like the kids program that your mum and dad didn't want you to watch. I used to dress up in I had a leopard skin leotard and I had a big red codpiece. I had this big leopard skin hat with a massive tail down the back. I used to have my bass down by my knees like Sid Vicious. It was just my name in the band was Rod Cocker, and we had Floyd. We had Floyd Is Right Marley on guitar. We had Ernie Balls on guitar.
After the guitar strings.
We had Ice Van Hammer was our lead singer. Phil Popstar was the drummer, but spelled with an F-I-L-L Popstar. But you know what? It was boss. We had a boss laugh. We used to do heavy metal version of I Will Survive, country and western version. That we did a proper hair metal version of Tainted Love by Soft Cell years before Marilyn Manson did it. And do you know what? And it used to go down an absolute storm. Brilliant.
Have you got any recordings of this stuff?
Do you know what we have? Yeah, we recorded an EP called Slow Down for Horses. We've got I Will Survive. We've got the Ace of Spades.
I'd love to hear the Ace of Spades. The country version.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll take it out for you, mate. I'm sure I've got it on MP3 somewhere.
Yeah,
and the third one we did was Rhinestone Cowboy. But we did that like it was what's the theme of Rocky?
Eye the Tiger.
Eye the Tiger, that's the one.
Survivor.
Like that, yeah. But it worked. We had a guy that Ernie Balls was a guy called Greg Davies who was well known around Liverpool and St. Helens. Absolutely phenomenal musician. He could just pick up anything. I saw him once pick up a tin flute, and the next thing he was doing Yngwie Malmsteen solos on this this tin flute. You know what I mean? It was absolutely phenomenal. But he could arrange songs as well, so he did all the arrangements, and it was just boss. It was just, we had balloon drops and everything at the end of the gigs and stuff. It was that was a ball.
They were great days then back home. I had John Reynolds on the show a few weeks ago. I don't really know John at all. He teaches at Lipper now. But we were talking about the 90s, all the work we had. We were out 5-6 nights a week, everybody.
Well, that was it. Yeah, you were out. We were in our cover band. Like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then on a Friday and Saturday we'd have Doris gigs, and we'd be gigging up. We'd be gigging around Liverpool, and we'd be gigging in St. Helens and stuff. And it was just boss. You know, them were the days, man.
Great days, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. But we used to have the guys out of Space would come and see us. The guys out of Echo and the Bunnymen would come and see us. Wow. Oasis came one time.
Really?
We very nearly supported Oasis in the Lomax. But it never come off. We were fuming because they were just making it big. It was before their first album come out, but they were just on the verge of making it. You know what I mean? And we got asked to do the cover version of the band, but I think Oasis came and saw us and was like, "We're not going on after them."
Dave, you also did stand-up comedy for a while.
Yeah, I did.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. It's a bizarre situation, stand-up comedy, because everyone says, oh, you're going to be all right on it because you've been in bands for years. But when you're in a band, when you're up there, you can have a laugh in between songs because you've got all your mates behind you. There's another 3 of you or 4 of you, and you can, you banter off each other. When you're doing stand-up comedy, mate, you're on your own.
And it's a brave place to do it in Liverpool as well, where we're from.
Well, yeah. The gigs in Liverpool were brilliant. There's a new comedy store just opened up in Liverpool called Hot Water Comedy Club. The stand-up comedy is now becoming almost like cabaret bands of the 90s, the 80s, and the 90s, because they're just popping up all over the place, and it's just a dead good night out. You know what I mean? You go and you just get entertained, and if the rubbish, or if you're rubbish, if I was rubbish, then the crowd, especially in Liverpool, they'd let you know you were rubbish.
Well, the old saying is there's more comedians in the audience in Liverpool. All the comics will tell you that, right?
Yeah, it's horrendous. It's horrendous because like you're doing a joke in Liverpool and you're thinking you've just done this joke the night before in Bolton, right? And it's gone down a storm, right? And everyone loves it. And then in Liverpool, they all guess the ending. They all know the ending anyway. Or someone shouts out an ending that's better than your ending, and you're like, oh no.
Where is this place? This comedy club you're talking about, the new one?
It's on Seal Street. It's not far from Parr Street Recordings, Parr Street Studios. But it's brilliant. It's really, really good. Hot Water Comedy Club. They post little shorts all over Facebook and YouTube. You might want to check them out. Yeah. They are really, really good.
When did you get into that? Because you wasn't doing it back in the day. You were always a musician for a long time.
Yeah, mate. It was when I was in my old age. Yeah, it was only about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I did it. One of my mates said, you know what? He said, you'd make a boss stand-up comedian. And then I found out that he was joking in order because like I'm stupid enough to go like, oh yeah, I'll do that. So I wrote myself out this set and everything. But you know what? Started to go down really well. And he was sat in the audience and he was like, oh, I wanted to really die a death there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'd laugh my head off. But absolutely superb. When you stand there on the stage and you've got the light on you and there's just you and a microphone stand and you've got nowhere to go, you've got nowhere to hide.
There's no back doors there, mate, is there?
You can't go. There's no trapdoors underneath you that you can just disappear into. Do you know what I mean? But it's a test of guile more than anything else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys who go up on stage in front of like hundreds of thousands of people, like thousands of people. You know where their rush is coming from. Do you know what I mean? It must be like Queen running out in Nebworth Park. Do you know what I mean? You've got like 250,000 people there, and they're all there for you, and they're all clapping away. And if you're doing the jokes and you're making these people laugh, then it's a mad buzz. It really, really is.
Yeah. Did you have an agent for this, or did you just go on your own? Did you just
go
direct?
No, just to do it because there's a big scene for it now. It died a death a bit during the COVID because no one, the pubs and everything were closed.
Yeah.
But it's picked up again now. But I've had to sort of knock it on the head because my daughter's only 13, and like I'm a single father, so okay. I'm looking after her, and so I can't. Then she's got to go to school, so I can't be driving home from like Middlewich. The Americans won't know where Middlewich is.
So there's a lot of out-of-town stuff you're doing over there. You're doing a lot of out-of-town stuff.
It's all over the northwest. You can get gigs down in London as well. It's boss. They love Scousers down in London. I know in the comedy though, they hate you when you get off the stage.
Well, I did the cruise ships for 5 years, and we used to have some comics coming on there. I worked with Hal Nolan.
Imagine, yeah.
Hal Nolan came on one time. God bless him. Joey Kay.
But then you've got a captive audience then as well, haven't you? They can't go anywhere.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
You're like that, lock them doors, they're not going anywhere. Yeah.
So you're also an author. Let's move on to your books. Yeah. 8 novels, 4 graphic novels.
You're making me sound like I'm like this like dead clever fella here, but I'm proper musician, comedian, author. It's like, I've got the most boring life ever. Really.
But you know,
yeah,
the books are out there.
I write graphic novels and I write novels as well. But I do adult orientated books. When I say adult orientated books, I don't mean like they got like sexy time in it and stuff like that. None of that. It's just like horror, but also I do like stuff for kids as well. Yeah. Because sometimes if you write a really nasty horror book, you just gotta like purge your brain and get a kid's story out there so you feel good about yourself.
So what made you go into writing then?
Do you know what it was? It's a mad story. I can actually pinpoint it to a moment in time. My daughter was 3. See, I'm 48 now, and my daughter's like, she's 13. So do your maths. I can't think. 10 years young. I was about 38. I was lying there in bed. It was Christmas Eve, and I was reading The Night Before Christmas to her, which was like a tradition that we did at the time. I still want to do the tradition now, but now she's 13. She's like, Dad, get out of my room. But so I'm sitting there and reading it, because my voice is dead boring. On Christmas Eve as well, do you know what I mean? The most exciting night of the year, and I've bored her to death. So I've read the Christmas Carol, The Night Before Christmas, and I got out of bed and I thought, do you know what? I reckon I could do that. I reckon I could have a go with that. So then the next day, or the day after, because it was Christmas, I actually got my computer down and I just started writing. And I come up with this story called The Good Behaviour Act, and it was a rhyming story. And because I'm a little bit twisted in the head, it was a story about what happens if you get on Father Christmas's naughty list. And that's not a place where you want to be. But I wrote it for kids. So if your kids are naughty, like, how old's your daughter? Your daughter's
She's 10, so I'm going to buy that.
Read this story, I'll send you it. The Good Behaviour Act. If she's naughty, then she doesn't want Father Christmas to come and do this. Basically, if you're naughty, he eats you.
And that was your first book?
That was my first. That was only a short comic. And then what I did is I started writing a few more of these ones, because I was showing it to people and they were like saying, oh, Dave, that's boss, that. Why don't you get it illustrated and put it into a comic? And I was like, how do I know how to do that? I can't draw a stick, do you know what I mean? I'm absolutely rubbish at drawing. So I sort of like trolled the internet, and I got this geezer who lived in Scotland, and he did the drawings for me, and they were like dead cartoony, like almost like the Beano style, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I brought out my first book called Interesting Times, which is like 6 horror stories for kids. And then then it all just went on from there, do you know what I mean? So it's like it's a bit of a mad one. I rewrote Christmas Carol. You know the Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
I rewrote that. It's true to the original, but it's all written in rhyme. And then the guy who I've got who illustrates that actually does work for the Beano. He draws Roger the Dodger and Minnie the Minx for the Beano.
Is that still going, the Beano?
Yeah. It's only digital now, though.
Yeah.
I think you can get it. You get it digitally, and then you can get it in the albums. You know, the Christmas albums.
Yeah.
And I used to get you every year.
The Beano and the Beezer, I used to get the big one, the big tall one.
I used to get the Dandy too.
Dandy. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. That, you know, just off the cuff to go, I can do that. And now you're doing.
Yeah, and then it just spiraled from there. So then I brought out a few more comics, a few more graphic novels, but they're dead expensive to do, because if you can't draw, if I can't do the drawings for them, and it's a specialist skill, then it's just dead expensive, because the illustrators, you know, obviously it's going to take an awful lot of their time. So I brought out a couple of graphic novels, and then I was doing this graphic novel, and the girl who was doing the drawing for me, she said, Dave, this is going to cost you, like, you know, your house, basically, because like this graphic novel is going to be like 300 odd pages. It's going to cost you about £25,000 to get done. Wow. And my face was like pale, and like I was the same colour as this wall behind me. I was just like magnolia. I was like, oh, okay. So she said, make it into a novel. And I thought, I can't write a novel, you know, because like there's like, you know, you've got to know, 1, you've got to know how to spell, and 2, you've got to know where commas go and apostrophes and stuff like that. And I was like, I left school with nothing, mate. I was like, all I wanted to do was play guitar.
You got spell check though, haven't you?
Well, this is the thing now, yeah. So I got spell check, grammar check.
Yeah.
I've got a sanity check. I've got everything on there. You know what I mean? I can do it all on my computer.
But I know what you mean, because us growing up in school, it was just your writing pad, wasn't it?
That was it. It was just
that's how we learned.
It was your book and a pencil. And I say to our Grace now, I say, you know, we didn't have delete. We had a rubber on the top of the pencil.
That's right.
And if you were dead fancy, you had a pen with a pencil, with a rubber at the top. That you could, but only the rich lads had them in school.
Then liquid paper came out.
Yeah, but we didn't use that for we used that for other stuff, didn't we?
Dave, a few weeks ago, we had our mutual friend, Tony Boland, on the show.
Yes.
And like yourself, musician, author, you've teamed up with Tony for a new film project, which comes from a book you co-written with Tony called In the Mood for Murder.
In the Mood for Murder, yeah. Like, Tony is one of the nicest fellas you'll ever get to meet in your entire life. He's got this calming influence on him, because I have a tendency to be hyper sometimes, and I'm like, well, let's get like 536 million things done in like 20 minutes. And Tony's just sitting there and he's like, yeah, we'll sort that out, Dave. Yeah. But he's just boss to work with. Such a nice fella. So we got together. We hadn't seen each other for years and years. I used to work in Rushworth. Well, he was in Hesse's, and then he moved over to River City Sounds, I think, while I was still working in Rushworth. And we sort of knew each other. We used to send the YTSs over for to get fallopian tubes and for tartan paint and stuff like that. And it was like, and we used to just have a ball, you know what I mean? And like then I left. I left Rushworth to become a postman. I rock and roll that. So but then we just sort of split apart, you know what I mean? I didn't see nothing of each other. And then I met him on Facebook. He just popped up as a friend, and I thought, Tony, yeah. So I did him as a friend. We just started talking. Now, at that time, I had just brought out my debut novel, my first novel, The 12, it's called. And he just brought out, was it Plug-in? His first one. Yeah,
there's Plug-in 1, 2, and 3. I think it's 4 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I think it's 4 he's up to now, yeah. But I think he just brought out Plug-in 1. And it was just like, we just did interesting, because he was interested in what I was doing, because I was writing fiction. And then I was interested in what he was doing, because he was writing all about the Liverpool music scene. I hated it in school, but I love history now. Absolutely fascinates me. Yeah. And when you see like photos, see them all over Facebook, and it'll be like, this was Whitechapel in 1921.
Yeah.
And then this is Whitechapel in 2021. And that fascinates me. I love it. So anyway, we got talking, and I got hold of his book, and we were looking at it, and he started telling me all about these stories that of his uncle, or his great uncle, who used to be in like the big bands, the swing bands, back in the 40s. And he was telling me about all the things that happened, and there was murder, and there was like some fella got framed for murder for like, and some fella was dealing drugs, and some fella was like, he was the gangster's son and stuff like that. And it was just fascinating. And I said, Tony, you know what we need to do? We need to get together and write a book, but it's going to be a fiction book, but based on some of the stories that you've been telling me. So we had a meet. We met up in town a few times, and just bashed this out, and then wrote the story backwards and forwards, edited it and stuff like that, and it's just all fell into place. So the story is called In the Mood for Murder, and it's based in the Rialto. I don't know whether you remember the Rialto. It was just on Upper Parliament Street, and it burnt down during the 80s riots.
Was it was a club?
It was the Rialto ballrooms. So it had a theatre. And you'd probably know it if you saw it, because it had like twin towers on the top of it. And it was like really iconic. So, but anyway, we based it in there, and it's about the resident band that was in there in 1946. They were called the Upbeat 7, but we've called them the Downswing 7, obviously, because, we don't want to hear people who might still be alive, although I don't think there is, especially at the end of the book anyway. So what we did, we wrote a fiction, but we intermingled a lot of different characters in there, and we're just in the process of making it into a film, which we've got this BAFTA award winning script writer and director, and he wrote the script based on the book. And I was reading it. Me and him had a couple of backwards and forwards, because Tony's wife hasn't been too good, as she. So what we've done is I've been sort of liaising with the production company, and going back to Tony with all the information. And like, I was reading the script that he gave me, and even though I had wrote it, I was still like, oh, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here? I was like, and it was a page turner as a script, and I was thinking, this is going to make a boss film. Do you know what I mean? So,
how did you make contact with the scriptwriter?
One of my mates owns. He's got a finance company, a big finance company in Liverpool, and this guy had come to his company looking for funding for a project. And he went, he said, you're a scriptwriter. I've got a mate who writes novels. Do you want to meet? So we met and we hit it off. He's Welsh. He's from Cardiff, and he's proper. His name's Wyndham Price. So when I heard like Wyndham Price, I was thinking, oh, hello, yes, my name's Wyndham. How are you? But no, he's a proper down to earth taff. He's like proper thick Welsh accent. But he's done about I think seven feature length films. And he's won BAFTAs and he's won horror awards and stuff like that for a couple of his films. And he's just into it. He loves the book. The script that he's put together is just absolutely fabulous. And, you know, it's all systems go. We're just looking, but we're in the process of getting the funding at the moment. We're about halfway there with the budget that we need. So we just got a couple of different avenues that we need to get into. And then the red carpet's going to roll.
Well, Tony was telling me you're hoping to shoot the movie this year. Before the end of the year.
We were hoping to get it done before Christmas, or to at least start before Christmas. But with people's schedules and stuff like that, it's looking like it's probably going to slip to like February, March next year. But we want to do it in the dark nights because there's a few outdoor shots, like people hiding in parks and stuff like that. And obviously, with it being like wartime, we don't want too many lights and cars going past and stuff like that.
So it's all being filmed in Liverpool?
It's all been, we're going to do it all in Liverpool.
Because there's a lot going on now. Peaky Blinders, a lot of it was filmed in Liverpool.
Yeah, Peaky Blinders. Well, it was funny that you should say that, because one of the guys who actually read the script, didn't read the novel, but he read the script that Wyndham done, one of the big sales companies for films in the UK. And he likened it. He said, this is like a Scouse Peaky Blinders. He said, this would make a great series.
Wow. Well, this is how these things happen, Dave, though, isn't it? You know, never say never, you know.
I mean, we're going to get the film done. And, if I've already, me and Tony have already bashed out a sequel to it. And then there's going to be a third part. And the third part is like going to wrap it all up. But they'd all be standalone novels. You wouldn't have had to have read the first part in order to read the second part, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Although it would help. But yeah, so if they did want to make it into a series, there'd be a load of work there that's already done that they could work on, that they could open it up as a series.
Who else is involved regarding casting, etc.?
Well, we've got a suggested cast, and a few of them have got. I've actually got hold of the scripts and stuff like that. I mean, but not. I have to stress that nobody has guaranteed that they can do it. Nobody has actually said that yet we're in it, because it hasn't officially been greenlit yet until we get the full funding. But we're looking for the likes of Stephen Graham, who is a absolutely phenomenal Scouse actor.
It's fantastic.
But he's been with Martin Scorsese, and he was in that Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about I just saw him. Well, it was last year now in The Irishman with De Niro, Pacino.
Yeah,
he played that.
Scorsese did that. Scorsese.
Well, he played that New Jersey gangster, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, he was in Boardwalk Empire with Steve Buscemi, and he played Al Capone, a young Al Capone, and he's phenomenal in it.
Yeah.
The guy's just going from strength to strength. So we're hoping that we can get him.
That'll be fantastic to get him
before he turns into like Brad Pitt or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like so. So we're hoping for he's going to get it. We're hoping Jodie Comer's going to come on board. We're looking for the likes of Jason Isaacs, Christopher Eccleston, Sheridan Smith. We've got the most Scouse person you could ever think of in the entire world. We got Ricky Tomlinson on board.
Oh, Ricky's doing it. Wow.
Ricky's on board, and so we've also got Paul Barber as well. Paul out of he was
Brothers McGregor, Only Fools and Horses.
Denzel out of Only Fools and Horses. Yeah. So we've got him on board. But you know what? He is one of the nicest fellas. Tony gave me his number, and then he texted him and said, "Paul said a lad called Dave McCluskey's going to ring you." And I was a bit nervous because I've never talked to anybody who's been in films or nothing before. And I just rang him, and he answered the phone. He went, "All right, Dave, how's it going, lad?" I just straight away, you like his best mate. Do you know what I mean? It was boss. Yeah, had a good chat with him. Ricky, well, he's just Ricky Tomlinson, isn't he?
Great banjo player.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant musician, isn't he?
Yeah.
And as I say, I was on the phone to Stephen Graham as well, and he's dead sound, just dead down to earth.
Down to earth.
But yeah, so we're open that they're going to come on board. As I say, nobody's confirmed, and no one can confirm until it's greenlit. But once it's greenlit, it's going to be like it's going to get done and get it out there. Do you know what I mean? And like, because what we're open, because it's based in Liverpool and it's pre-Beatles, because everybody knows Liverpool for the Beatles, but this happened before the Beatles. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But we're still open at the war, the retro feel of it all, because it's going to be like very noir. It's going to be like all browns and hats and sepia and stuff like that. So it's going to be very moody, but it's got a lot of humour in it as well, obviously, because it's in Liverpool. So yeah, so we're open. Good things are going to come of it.
Sounds great, yeah. But the book's out now. You can get the book, right?
Oh, you can get the book now. Yeah, the book In the Mood for Murder by D.E. McCluskey and Tony Bolland, available from all good Amazon websites. Love them all or loathe them. You've got to use them these days, you know.
I also wanted to share Tony's link to his books, his music books we were talking about while we're on the show. I know how hard it is in this business, whether you're trying to put your own music out. Like I've done albums and stuff here since I've been over here, but I've noticed a dwindling in CD sales. Everyone's downloading now. Spotify,
it's all streaming.
iTunes. Yeah. Since I've gone back to playing live, it's not as much now as it used to be with the CDs. So the work that's gone into these books, and I've got some of Tony's books, they're fantastic, you know. His research.
Yeah. The research Tony does is painstaking. It's, you know, I always say, because people always say, you know, if I'm doing like these interviews, people always say, well, who's Tony Bolland? And I always say what he is. He's a Liverpool music historian. And he is. Yeah. He hasn't got I don't think he's got degrees or letters after his name regarding that. I said, but what he doesn't know about the Liverpool music scene probably isn't worth knowing.
Well, he told me when he was on the show that he started, Plug-in was the first Hesse shop in Wavertree, and he was 16 years old. He just left school, and he said he'd make notes every day at work, and that's how his books came about years and years later. But I want to mention is Tony's website to get the books, and honestly, anybody listen, these books are fantastic. Look them up. Tony Bolland, even though I've been calling him Tony Bolland for years, it is Tony Bolland, isn't it?
It's Bolland, yeah.
Yeah, but with me, he goes out, just whatever, Joe. Cause
I don't think he's bothered.
No. But
totally not bothered.
Music and entertainmentbooks.co.uk. Music and entertainmentbooks.co.uk. That's Tony Bolland's site.
In the UK, I sell them myself because people get in touch with me and I can sign them and post them off. But posting them out to America and Australia and stuff like that since COVID, and especially with Brexit as well, with COVID and Brexit, the postage abroad is ridiculous. The postage abroad is twice the amount that the book costs.
Well, I remember do you remember George Wilson, Ziggy Greaves from Grange Hill?
Yes.
He's been on the show, and we got his book from Grange Hill to Bipolar and Back. It's a fantastic book as well, and we got it here, and he kept saying to me, you know, with COVID, I apologise how late it's going to be. I said, don't worry about it. When it arrives, it arrives. You know, so I know what you're saying there about mailing them out to overseas and stuff. Tony, you know, as well as his music books, and also there's a comedy book, Liverpool
He's done the
Comedians,
comedy book as well, yeah.
But the Liverpool Comedians.
I wish I'm in.
You're in that one, yeah?
Yeah, my ugly mug's in there in a few pages.
And he's done this Beatles book as well, hasn't he?
Oh, mate, well, I keep saying to him, I said, Tony, this Beatles book that you've done, because it's different. It's probably one of the most different Beatles books you're going to see on the market. You know what I mean? Because it's not about, oh, this is them before they were famous, or this is them when they started to be famous, or this is them when they're famous. It's nothing to do with that. This is to do with the craze that went on around them. And it's all about some of the odd things that you can buy, like Beatles wigs and Beatles condoms. That you can buy Beatles condoms. And
really?
I was like, what? You know, it's crazy things that you could get.
Do you think you'll ever go back to music?
One of my mates keeps asking me to jump back on a band with him. Doing like 12-bar acoustic, doing the Beatles stuff, and you know, a little bit of like the Monkeys and stuff like that. And yeah, I want to, because now I'm not working now, so I'm actually a full-time author, so I do have quite a bit of time on my hands. And the missus keeps saying to me, "You need to get out of this house." So I think we're going to go. We're going to reignite the Dilfs.
Great, because it's the scene's opening again back home now, isn't it? I know it's been different for we opened earlier over here, and it's different states over here. I went back playing live in October, and it was only 25%, then 50%, now at 100 again.
Yeah, but there's so many hoops that you got to jump through. You know, with all the COVID and stuff still.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to go away. Well, not for a long time anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because they keep coming back with like Delta variants and.
What about stand-up? Do you think you go back into that too?
Probably not. No. I mean, I enjoyed it, but stand-up's a mad one because you've got to work. You've got to start at the bottom, and at the bottom is like a 5-minute gig, and then you work up to a 10-minute gig, and then you work up to a 15, and from a 15 you go to half an hour, 45, then an hour. But so traveling an hour and a half across the UK to do a 10-minute gig, and then traveling all the way back, and you're getting in at 2 o'clock in the morning, and this is on like a Tuesday night, and you're like, it's a. I promised myself I'd never say this, but it's a young man's game. Do you know what I mean?
Dave, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I've so enjoyed it. I really have. Yeah.
Best of luck with the film project, and keep me posted on that. And I also want to hear them recordings of the Ace of Spades, definitely the country version.
I'll find them for you. I've got them on MP3 somewhere along the line. Yeah.
The best of luck to you. Best of luck to Tony.
Thanks for having me, mate. And it's been a ball. It really has, mate.
Thank you, Dave.